I'm Rachel Martin, and I'm a student athlete here at the University of Nebraska. Today I'll be giving my informative speech on rifle shooting. Doing some research, I found that Zaptoit.com says that 73% of Americans watch football in their home. Answers.com rates that 12.5% of the world's population watches baseball. But what about rifle? Well, no one really knows, because some people, and most Americans, feel that shooting sports is not exactly a sport, which is surprising because 4 out of the 28 Summer Olympic sports are actually shooting sports. So there's rifle, pistol, shotgun, and archery. Most people may view these sports as scary or dangerous, but they are actually some of the most safest sports in the world. And that's just because of the precautions and the attention that we give to safety rules as part of these events. My area of knowledge is in rifle shooting. My father taught me to shoot when I was very young, and I started competing when I was just 8 years old. So I've been doing this for a while. This is actually my 11th season, and I have 3 national championship titles and 1 world championship title. I'm also part of the USA Shooting National Junior team. So today I'm wearing my uniform. Hope you guys can see it. But this is actually what I wore when I went overseas this summer and won my world championship title in the Czech Republic. So when I won that in one of the 2 guns that I'm going to talk to you about today. I'm going to give you kind of an insight in the shooting sports world. Maybe answer some questions that you might have, like what is rifle? Why is it important, and how exactly does it work? Because it's very different from any other sport that you've probably seen before. I will be going over the basics of shooting, some of the important life lessons that I've learned throughout my years, and also let you in on some of the pros and cons of this sport. So hopefully you'll get to decide whether you think that rifle is a sport that's worth knowing and that maybe in the future you'll follow. So unlike many sports, rifle shooters have to be good at 2 things, so 2 disciplines. There's air rifle and small bore rifle. So to be great at both of these is kind of like being great at multitasking. If an athlete isn't good at both of these, their shooting career will be very, very limited. Small bore is my personal favorite. It's the equivalent of a .22, so that means that it has a kick to it. So when you pull the trigger, it's going to kick you back a little bit, and that's just because it shoots a bullet. And the bullet that it shoots is not that big. It's about half the size of a thumbtack, which is the hole that it punches. So here's a thumbtack that I have, so you can get a little bit of an idea. And it's punches a hole about that big, so it's not very big at all. So it doesn't have a very big kick, but it will maybe scare you a little if you're not looking for it. Air rifle is just as hard as small bore. And there's a bit of a difference between the 2 because air rifle you shoot a pellet, so it doesn't kick you at all when you shoot it. But small bore you have 3 positions. You have prone, standing, and kneeling, and you shoot 20 shots in each position in a match. Air rifle you shoot 60 shots in just a standing position, which is probably the hardest position. So even though small bore kicks, air rifle you have to be really, really good at standing, which is hard to do. The guns look different from each other is another thing. A lot of people who haven't seen them before call them space guns. They have different adjustments, different weights. They're very big, and they can also be very, very heavy. So, also very expensive. Air rifles probably going to cost you about $1,000, $2,000. Small bores are a little bit more. They're about $3,000 to $4,000. I got mine at a really good deal for about $2,500, which is very rare. You're probably not going to find that. While rifles are expensive, the equipment that you're going to need to support an athlete in this sport is also very expensive. Athletes, we wear canvas suits, so that's just to keep us from moving around. And when we're trying to hit a target that's the size of a pinhead, we don't want to move at all. So these suits may look a little bit funny, but they really help keep us stable, and they're very expensive. The other gear that we might need, gloves, scopes, whatever, is going to cost you about an extra $1,500. So this is a sport that you're going to have to get grants or just, kind of be well off to do. But, I worked up from the bottom when I was very young. So it took me 11 years to get everything together, but it's definitely worth it. Cost can definitely be a con in this sport, but there are also a lot of pros, along with a few more cons, maybe. Shooting is an extremely mental game. You know, in order to shoot a worthy score, there are a lot of things that you have to do. We can't even move a fifth of an inch, or we're going to drop points. So that's definitely something that's mentally challenging. Imagine holding a 15-pound block on your arms, balancing it for 2 hours, and concentrate on that little dot downrange about 50 meters, and stay there and concentrate on it the whole time. Addition to all that, we have to deal with distractions. People behind us yelling. We have lights everywhere. Competitors right next to us. So it's challenging mentally, but also physically. We have to hold all that weight and keep stable, which can do a lot of damage to a shooter. We have to overcome constant obstacles, so we have to have a very healthy self-image, and we have to keep on getting up. It teaches us self-control, concentration, determination, and we learn very early on that life is hard, but we have to work for what we want. Even though rifle is very different from football or baseball, it's just as intense and has many different factors that make it unique. Now that you know a little bit more about rifle, you may understand why it takes a strong athlete and person in order to compete at a high level at this sport. Rifle has a lot of moving parts to it, so it's completely different and has lots of equipment, has lots of technical parts to its matches. It's also extremely mentally challenging, as I said before, and takes a lot of effort to be able to get through an entire match. In search for glory, many athletes have been broken in this sport, but do it for the right reasons and you'll have the time of your life, just as I did. Thank you.